Greetings, true believers. It is I, Shane, and I'm here to talk to you about the first episode of Marvel's What If. The What If series, of course, is directly involved with the MCU, so please watch it if you want to keep up with things that I believe are going to actually show up and happen later on in the MCU films. Probably also in the TV shows as well. This technically is one of their TV shows. It's an animated show, and the perspective and intros are given by the character the Watcher. I didn't take the time to look up who did the voice of the Watcher. I personally always figured the Watcher would have a different kind of sounding voice, but I'm okay with this. We have seen a Watcher creature alien before. They were in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. It was the Stan Lee cameo. There were three Watchers around him. And then they all just started to walk away because it's like, this isn't interesting anymore. The main Watcher for the normal Marvel universe is Utau. So this is probably Utau the Watcher, large cosmic being who knows all and sees all, but cannot intervene. And actually, the only time he did intervene, he was killed. That is a fairly recent thing. I believe that was in 2015, 2016. I talked about it when we were doing the Loki review. So, um, let's just go ahead and get right onto it. I'm going to do this a little bit different. I won't go through the play by play if unless I feel it's necessary. What I'm going to talk about, just talk about the show real quick, and then we'll discuss what happened. The animation style, really well done. At first, I was getting kind of a stop animation feeling, but the word I'm looking for is flash animation. Not so much. It's just more of a cel shaded kind of deal. Um, I believe the Ultimate Spider-Man video game for the Xbox and PlayStation 2 games had done the cel shaded look, which is that is typically the best type of look for comic book games or show and movies that you're gonna do. This isn't on the level of, let's say, Into the Spider Verse, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. This is actually very well done. It looks really, really, really good. The pacing, it's 34 minutes. I'm so happy it wasn't an hour. But little look in behind the scenes. When I do notes, whether written or on a phone, those things take so much longer, especially when the shows are like an hour long or something like that. Especially if there's a lot of talking. I actually appreciate this being 34 minutes, and you can just pop in, watch it, talk to someone about it, and then leave. Um, I don't feel like they skipped over anything because this is a more or less a retelling or going, hey, what if this thing happened instead of this thing? Very well done. The voice work is really, really, really good. Haley Atwell playing Captain Carter, Peggy Carter. I believe the guy who played the first Howard Stark from the movies is voicing his character again. I couldn't tell if Chris Evans and Samuel Jackson were in there, but Sebastian Stan, his during the intro where you see the names of who's in here and they're flashing through the characters. First character they show is Black Panther, which always breaks your heart when you think about it. When they're showing the characters and getting ramped up for the episode, we see the names of who's in here. I didn't really pay too much attention to that because I'm looking at the whole package. Then all of Marvel when it says Marvel Studios, this logo was shell shaded, animated. Another good thing. So let's talk about the variation. Like I said, the episode is "What if Captain Carter was the first Avenger?" Well, it's June 1943. Hydra, Nazis. If you've seen the Captain America: The First Avenger, you know the movie, right? Well, you should know. And the deciding factor for this variation or this "What if" is when Peggy decided to stay on the first level with everybody. When she was offered to sit in the booth, she didn't take it. She stood there with everyone else. And let me interrupt myself real quick. The What If series is actually a series of comic books. The old What Ifs did things really comically. Like I said, what if Tony Stark didn't have a drinking disorder, had an eating disorder? So he had a fat Iron Man and a fat Iron Man suit. They did a lot of crazy, funny things. But when it came to my era of comics, or even a little bit towards the end of Generation X with the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, What If series just took off. It's one of my favorite things, and one of the things I looked forward to when going to either the grocery store or comic book store, was seeing what if comics appeared. More or less, and it did, when it comes to telling, what if, one of my favorite is what if Peter Parker died instead of Ben Riley. You guys remember Ben Riley? You probably don't, because I haven't talked about him, or you probably aren't comic book readers. Ben Riley is a clone of Peter Parker. Peter Parker had a clone saga, just like Miles Morales is currently going through a clone saga. But I digress. His clone was named Ben Riley. Ben for Uncle Ben. Riley was actually the maiden name of Peter's mom, who is Uncle Ben's actual. Sorry, uh, that's not his sister. Actually, Peter's father is Ben's brother. That was the name of Peter's mom's last name, I believe. So that's who Ben Riley is. And in the comics, they didn't know if Peter was actually a clone or Ben was a clone. And what happens? One of them dies, and you go forward with the universe. But then the what if says, well, what if he lived? And Ben Riley is actually coming back in the comics too. One of the few things with the what if is we had what if Peter Parker and Mary Jane had a daughter. They took that series and spun off. They took that one comic book and spun off into a whole series where Mayday Parker and then Wolverine, Elektra's daughter. It's what if has a long history of silly and really well done comics. It's a fair game. And while this episode has tons of Easter eggs and things that hint at things that comic book readers and MCU watchers know, this is all new stuff, and I appreciate it. So Peggy stayed on the ground, which in turn led to most of everyone staying on the ground level, on the ground floor. No one did. No one. None of them didn't go up there. And Peggy saw when the guy was going to hit the charge for the bomb, stopped him. Unfortunately, Steve, being Steve, got out of the pod and tried to stop the guy. He already shot the good doctor. Steve got shot twice in the shoulders, and the experiment was only going to run one time. If they didn't do it then, it wouldn't happen at all. Peggy jumped in. She became the First Avenger. Unfortunately, it's the 1940s. Peggy's a woman. They don't really care. They weren't really listening to her. One of the funny illusions, one of the many illusions was Steve saying, "Hey, at least they didn't put you on a suit and parade you around to get war bonds." That's exactly what happened to Steve in the first movie. We get nice little hints of her, for whatever reason, you become Captain America, or you get the super soldier symbol, you become a boxer because she's working on the um, the punching bag. She's throwing weights, so we get a background of how she's just doing her shield thing. Where Steve's background was he just always seems to pick up shields. He picked up a car door when he got juiced. He picked up a trash can when he wasn't juiced. Um, just want to check out my notes here. And Howard Stark, just throughout this whole entire thing, Howard Stark is a really cool dude. Like, he's rolling with all of this. Um, One of the things I do like is that Peggy and Steve still have that romance. Like, she sees what's on the inside, and even though he's this scrawny kid from Brooklyn, scrawny guy from Brooklyn, they're still pretty much in love. And I actually like how their romance was able to blossom throughout this episode, as opposed to we can see it in the movie, and then he pines over her because she's old, and then he's youngish. Then she dies in the next movie, and then he goes back in time. I appreciate how they were able to show their romance in this show. And as a matter of fact, one of the other things, Steve still brings up Bucky. They won't tell him where Bucky is, and she remembers that. Both of them are sidelined, and the intro to the Captain America movie, where Johann Schmidt, aka the Red Skull, takes the Tesseract, that still happens. That still happens. But Howard Stark and Peggy are talking to the person who's in charge, not Tommy Lee Jones. Don't know who this guy is, but he's a grade A asshole. And Hydra's in Norway, or the Nazis, who Hydra is affiliated with, the Nazis are in Norway. They're pushing to get there. They eventually, Howard takes upon himself to give Carter not only her outfit that she was going to wear for that weird tour, but give her a shield. Wasn't really covert, but it doesn't matter. She goes through, beats up this platoon by herself. They take Arnim Zolo, the guy, you remember he became the TV box, the actual Arnim Zolo. He has the Tesseract. They have the Tesseract. This completely changes everything by them getting that, because now Howard Stark is able to study it. Hydra doesn't have Tesseract weapons, beam weapons or anything like that, and he makes an iron suit in order for Steve to get in the fight, and he becomes the Hydra Smasher. Imagine a cross between the Mark One Iron Man and the Ironmonger put together. Instead of the reactor technology, yeah, arc reactor technology, it's literally the cube that is in the center of this, powering this thing up. Um, one of the so we're going through her doing her fights and everything. She's you know taking tank fire, blasting with the shields and all this other stuff. She literally is fighting by herself. And one of the funniest things is we do get to the moment where, hey, all our guys are captured somewhere. We should probably get them. The thing that when Steve found out that Bucky and the rest had gotten captured, Sharon, Captain Carter, because she can't go out in the field because she's an agent, but she got a promotion, became Captain Carter. Don't know why she didn't become Captain Britain, but I have an idea on that. Let me put this right here. I'm doing this live. Um, she decides to do this not just because it's the right thing to do, but because Bucky is Steve's best friend and she loves Steve, and so she go out, rescues everyone, and because they don't have the Tesseract, Bucky was not experimented on. He was not experimented on at all. He was just in the cell with the rest of the guys. She saves them. Steve comes down as the Hydra Stomper. I call him Hydra Smasher, Hydra Stomper, Hydra Smasher, whatever. Um, Once he comes down and saves her, now we just see the various adventures they go on. It's a really nice montage. I really, really, really like this combo of the Howling Commandos and Steve in the Iron Suit and Captain Carter. That was you could have done a whole show on just that. You didn't even have to just make this his own little container. You could just stretch all of it out from there. I'm glad you didn't, but you could have. We then get to the fateful moment of the train. The one where Steve lost Bucky. Instead, it was a trap because the Hydra Smasher is so strong. It can take tank bullets. It's literally indestructible. Quite seriously indestructible. It destroys tank just like Peggy can deflect tank fire with her shield. It can take tank shots and still beat it down. I'm assuming that it has vibranium in it. I'm assuming. That's just me. Um, which says a lot because even Tony's Mark One couldn't stay put together. Says a lot about his dad in the past. Anyway, in this train moment is actually a trap for the Hydra Smasher. They thought that Red Skull was gonna be on this train. Steve looks through and it goes through and he sees the bombs. While everybody else is able to run away, the train explodes. He's at the bottom. We presume that he is dead. And Carter is sad. And of course, the a-hole guy that's in charge says should never put a woman in the field. She didn't. Where's this? Where's this moment? You're lucky you're even in the room right now. Of course, of course. Another thing I'm going to point out: there's no blood in this show. Like legitimately, she smashes a dude's head in. She breaks a guy's leg. She killing people. We even see Red Skull shoot the guy that works for the Third Reich. Technically, Hydra are Nazis, but it's a splinter cell. It's a splinter cell type of deal, and we still get that moment where the Führer wants to know what is he gonna do. Johann Schmidt plans on opening up a portal to bring in a champion. I wonder what the champion is. Of course, he shoots the Nazi guy in the stomach. No blood. And Hydra, the Hell Hydra guys, they beat up the other two people. Easy peasy. No Tommy Lee Jones in this, surprisingly. He probably died in that explosion when the one Hydra agent tried to steal the vial unsuccessfully. Go through here. So, they're going through this plan, and we get a cliche moment. I wrote this down to talk about what I didn't like. What I didn't like was the cliche moment of Peggy going, "You're even lucky to be in this room." That felt a little out of place, but it is what it is, right? Um, they needed to show her snapping back because Peggy Carter is in charge. Thought of something as I was speaking. So the plan is they're all going to do it for Steve because Steve was a respected and loved member of this group. Once Peggy breaks in, able to get everybody else in, she goes high, they go low. Bucky and his team find the Hydra Smasher posted up. This thing is huge. Just to let you know, this thing is huge. It's like same size as the Hulk Buster. Not as bulky, but just as tall, if not taller. Thing is indestructible. And Steve was chained up to the side. Steve gets them to juice it up because this thing was powered by the cube. He gets them to juice it up with the reactor. For some reason, Peggy made Howard come with, but she did. I'm thinking, oh man, Howard Stark is gonna die, and there's gonna be no Tony Stark. That's not the case. Although by BTW, Tony Stark may be adopted. I'm pretty sure he is, but that's another story for another time. Um, Red Skull is powering up the cube, makes a dimensional portal, and giant tentacles come out. For those of you who follow me on my social media, and once I get to 1,000 followers, the name on this channel will change to that name, the Turtles and Tentacles name. I know who these tentacles belong to. They belong to Shuma Gorath. We didn't see the giant eye, but Shuma Gorath is everywhere and no place at the same time. He's from the Chaos Dimension. Dude has, when they draw him, is typically with 6 to 8 tentacles. When he was in the Marvel vs. Capcom series or the Versus series of games, they can animate 4 to 6 tentacles, but this dude can make multiple tentacles. Obviously, the Hydra beast would be a tentacled beast, given that the Hydra symbol is a skull with tentacles, which kind of makes no sense because a Hydra is a snake dragon kind of thing. But I digress. Not gonna complain about it. I know this is Shuma Gorath, and the tentacles are growing, making this portal even larger. And the more they grow, they're gonna overtake not just London, but probably the whole country, right? Probably all of Europe if they don't do anything about it. The tentacles, Red Skull can't control this. And he did reveal himself to have a Red Skull. He revealed it to the Nazi guy he killed. We don't get any of his backstory in this, which if you like the character, who cares? He's a fucking Nazi. Who cares? Uh, got crushed by the tentacle. No blood, no splatter. So if children are watching this, they can fully watch it. No blood, no splatter, none of that stuff. Um, Peggy gets a sword. Just there was a sword there. Howard's gonna figure out how to close it. She's cutting off tentacles. Steve is actually able to go up, make it enough time to save them. The others are coming in. He has to get everybody else outside because this thing does a screech that only Peggy can withstand, and Steve's in a suit. So unfortunately, while Howard is able to stabilize it, the tentacle beast, who I'm pretty sure is Shumagroth, is keeping it open. Well, Peggy is going to use her shield and her sword to push it back. Unfortunately, the Hydra Smasher does not have enough energy. It depowers. Like the energy goes from full to E rather quickly because he has to save people. He has to tend with the tentacles. It depowers. He falls out. We get that sad moment of we're supposed to go out dancing. You're supposed to save a dance for me. She's like, yeah, I know. Saturday. She goes through the portal. It closes and the cube is there. Suddenly, we're in this room that looks very familiar if you paid attention to the first Avengers movie. Portal opens up. Tentacles are lopped onto the ground. Captain Carter walks out with her sword and her shield. Nick Fury tells her, "Soldier, the war ended 70 years ago." Hawkeye is like, "That's Captain Carter," and she's happy the war has ended, but you can see the sadness on her face, and that's where the show ends. Like the Watcher says, she saved the universe, but who knows what else is gonna happen. This was really good, guys. Like, man, what did I like about it? So let me go through the implications. The implications for her universe is she's in place of Steve. She is the Captain Carter. She can't be Captain America because she's British, but she's on this team. She is a symbol for hope, right? I'm glad they didn't mention any British monarchy in this too. What's another thing? The fact that she was close friends with Howard If Tony is doing the same thing as Howard, that means Tony got his designs for the Iron Man suit based on his dad's work. She would have more of a she would have a better working relationship with Tony because and the thing is she was worthy enough to take the serum. Her insides were as good, was as amazing as she was beautiful, right? So she was a good person. The serum worked on her, didn't kill her, didn't turn her into a multi-faced red skull creature. But her relationship to others would be completely different than Steve. Steve was stubborn, and Peggy was stubborn too. But I get the feeling that she would have more of a softer touch when it came to Tony. I don't think we would have gotten a Civil War incident because he probably would have seen her not like a sister because Steve and Tony's relationship was very much a brother, best friend brother situation. She would have been like a motherly ish type of figure. It actually also means that there would have been no Winter Soldier. I do believe Hydra could have still infiltrated Shield. They infiltrated Shield way back when. That's not the question. The question is that whether they would have done the Winter Soldier thing. You couldn't because Bucky is not gone anywhere. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Steve was actually working within Shield at that very moment. You can do so much in that universe alone. It can continue being what if, or you can even do like they do in the comics. Give it the show its own name. Captain Carter, the First Avenger. Such a great ring to it. And they've been trying to find a way to bring Haley Atwell in. I really like her as an actress. She's really great. They've been trying to figure out a way to pay respects to her. Her Captain Carter show that was Agents of Shield esque. It didn't really do much. It didn't do much for the in-world universe that it was supposed to be in. And while her acting was great, and the guy that played Howard Stark was great, and Jarvis was great, the show was kind of meh. So I'm glad she's able to do something like this, and I'm pretty sure she's going to show up in physical costume in Doctor Strange in the Madness of the Multiverse. Um, I didn't like the cliche. That cliche moment didn't fit. It was the only out of place thing for me. The Hydra Smasher Captain Carter thing, I love that team. I love that team up all day. I love the fact that they worked together. I love that they're romance bud because they were gonna have a kiss until creepy Howard Stark came in with Bucky to tell him about their plan. And he was gonna sit there and watch them smooch. They didn't get a chance to smooch, and she still really loved. She called Steve her hero, and he says, "Well, you're my hero too." They shared a drink. We found out about the serum. You don't really feel the effects of alcohol. And they even held hands. I adore them as a couple in this. This makes much more sense even than the actual MCU. I hate to say it, in the actual movies, this makes sense. They spend so much time together. They fight together. They've almost died together. Love it. The reason why she's not Captain Britain, though, is because all of this happened in the United States with forming who she was. Happened in New York, and at the same time, Captain Britain is a completely different character. He has his name for not just because he's the British version of Captain America. Dude can actually fly. His sister's a mutant. He is mutant adjacent, if not a mutant. I need to double check on Brian Braddock, but yeah, I prefer calling her Captain Carter's Way is a better name. It gives the character its own identity. It is a new thing, and it's a spinoff from the comics. This is what you do with you take your good movie that takes the resources, you can make more resources from that thing, and this is all technically new. Do I have anything? And I made a note here. And look, I'm not hating on WB because just last week I told you guys, the Suicide Squad, best thing they've come out with in a long time. I adore it. I love it. The reason why this is really great is because Marvel has one continuous universe. When they do spin-offs and things like this, it makes it that much more better. Just it, and I look forward to the day that DC can do this. I really do. I need WB to just give someone the ball, even though I had my issues with Zack Snyder's universe. At least there was a consistency to it, if that makes any sense. So I'm hoping one day we get this with the other guys. But we're not talking about them right now. We're talking about Marvel. This show's great. First episode, 5 out of 5, knocked it out of the park. Did not expect a lot of things that was going to happen to happen. The only thing I skipped over because again I wasn't giving you the play by play. I was just telling you the major moments, and those major moments just happen to string together like that. Peggy got her information from Arnim Zolo. They still had him in capture, but she found out that he was trying to open up the portal. That's how she found out. So anyway, guys, please tell me what did you think of the episode in the comment section down below. Give me a like, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, be notified of more videos like this. I'm gonna do my best to bring these out to you guys every Wednesday because it's 10 episodes. We're gonna be in this for the long haul. Remember, share the video. Here, let other people hear what this guy thinks about what's going on with the What If series. As always, thank you for your time. Be good, be blessed. Wash your hands, wear your mask, please. Black Lives Matter. Be good to yourself, be good to others. Please don't be a jerk, and I will definitely see you next time. Excelsior.